It was 2:47 a.m. when billionaire Richard Whittaker jolted awake in his penthouse bedroom. Something had disturbed him. Grabbing his phone, he tapped into the hidden security feed from his daughter's room, and what he saw made his blood run cold. On the glowing screen, the new nanny he had hired just 3 weeks ago, Victoria Johnson, a tall, elegant black woman in her late 30s, was standing by his autistic daughter Isla's bedside. In her hands, she carried a bundle of deep crimson fabric. She leaned over Isla, who was finally sleeping peacefully for the first time in months, and began whispering softly in a language Richard didn't recognize. The billionaire's heart pounded. "Dear God, what is she doing to my daughter?" he whispered. His finger hovered over the phone, ready to call the police. But then something happened that froze him completely. Victoria bent down, brushed Isla's hair back, and kissed her forehead. And for the first time since his wife's tragic death 6 months ago, little Isla smiled in her sleep. Richard's breath caught in his throat. What power did this woman hold over his daughter? And what dark secret was she hiding? To understand what Richard was really witnessing that night, we need to go back. Back to the moment when his perfect world fell apart. Richard Whittaker was the kind of man newspapers loved to write about. At just 42 years old, he was the CEO of Whittaker Technologies, worth over $5 billion, and the proud husband of Sarah Whittaker, a brilliant pediatric therapist. Their greatest joy was their 7-year-old daughter Isla, who had been diagnosed with autism at age 3. But under Sarah's patient guidance, Isla had flourished. She was speaking in short sentences. She could hug her parents, laugh at bedtime stories, and even attend a specialized school. She's proof that with the right support, autistic children can thrive, Sarah often told other parents. She doesn't need to be fixed. She just needs love and understanding. Richard believed they had it all. But life can be merciless. One rainy March morning, Sarah was driving Isla to school when a delivery truck ran a red light. The crash was devastating. Sarah died instantly. Isla survived, but something inside her broke. From the moment Isla woke in the hospital asking for her mother, she began retreating into a silent, unreachable world. She stopped speaking. She stopped making eye contact. She would rock back and forth for hours, humming softly to herself. The specialized school sent her home, unable to handle her regression. Richard, shattered with grief, threw money at the problem. He hired therapists, specialists, even experimental treatments. But nothing worked. Every night at 3 a.m., Richard found his daughter standing silently at her bedroom window, staring at the moon. And every morning, Richard felt like he was losing her more and more. It was Richard's sister Claire who suggested a different approach. "Richard, maybe Isla doesn't need another doctor. Maybe she just needs someone who sees her as a child, not a patient. Someone consistent. Someone she can feel safe with." Reluctantly, Richard agreed to hire a full-time nanny. And that's when Victoria Johnson walked into their lives. A tall, dignified black woman with warm brown eyes and a quiet strength, Victoria had spent years caring for children with special needs. In her interview, she spoke little of her personal life, but her confidence and calm presence struck Richard. Isla, who usually rejected strangers, did something shocking. She walked right up to Victoria and placed her tiny hand in hers. For the first time in months, Richard saw a flicker of light in his daughter's eyes. "Mr. Whittaker," Victoria said softly, "your daughter is still here. She just needs to be reminded of the rhythm of love." Richard didn't know what she meant, but he was desperate enough to hope she was right. At first, Richard noticed small changes. Isla began eating foods she had previously refused, only when Victoria fed her. She started humming new tunes, African lullabies Richard had never heard before. And for the first time in months, Isla fell asleep without a meltdown when Victoria tucked her in. But there were also strange things. Late at night, Richard would catch Victoria whispering to Isla in a foreign tongue. He once saw her place a folded piece of crimson fabric beneath Isla's pillow. The billionaire's logical mind raced with suspicion. Who was this woman? What was she doing? And why did his daughter seem enchanted by her presence? That night, the night of the security footage, Richard almost called the police. But instead, he confronted Victoria the next morning. "Tell me the truth," he demanded. "What are you doing with my daughter? What is that red cloth? Why are you whispering things I can't understand?" Victoria looked at him calmly. Because you are trying to heal her with money. I am trying to heal her with memory. She unwrapped the crimson fabric. It was not blood-stained at all. It was a small, hand-sewn blanket threadbare from years of use. This belonged to my younger brother, Daniel, Victoria explained, her voice trembling. He was autistic, just like Isla. My mother made this blanket for him when we were children in Ghana. When he couldn't speak. When the world overwhelmed him. This blanket and the songs of our mother gave him peace. Tears welled in her eyes. Daniel passed away when he was only 10. I could not save him. But I see so much of him in Isla. And I will not let her be lost in the silence. Richard stood frozen. Victoria continued. The words I whisper are not magic. They are prayers. Prayers my mother taught me to calm Daniel when nothing else worked. For the first time, Richard understood. Victoria was not hiding a dangerous secret. She was sharing the deepest wound of her life, transforming it into healing for his daughter. Weeks turned into months. Under Victoria's care, Isla slowly began to blossom again. She spoke her first full sentence since Sarah's death, softly whispering, Mama's song. While clutching the red blanket, she began smiling, laughing, even playing with toys she had abandoned. Victoria taught Richard how to sing the African lullabies with her, awkwardly at first. But soon father and daughter were humming together at bedtime. It wasn't therapy. It wasn't science. It was love. The kind of love that transcends culture, race, and wealth. One evening, as Victoria tucked Isla in, Richard stood at the door watching. You saved her, he said quietly. Victoria shook her head. No, Mr. Whitaker. Isla saved herself. I only reminded her how. Richard realized then that all his billions had blinded him to a truth far more powerful than money. Healing begins not with control, but with connection. As months passed, Richard stopped seeing Victoria as just an employee. She became family. Isla called her Auntie V, and for the first time since Sarah's death, their home was filled with warmth again. Richard no longer checked the cameras at night. He didn't need to, because trust had replaced suspicion. Fear had been replaced by faith. And a billionaire who once believed he could buy solutions learned the greatest truth of all. Sometimes the people who change our lives forever are not the ones with wealth or power, but the ones with love, scars, and secrets of their own. So if you take anything from Richard, Victoria, and Isla's story, let it be this. Healing often comes from the most unexpected places. And the secrets we carry, the ones born of pain and loss, can sometimes be the very gifts that bring light into someone else's darkness. Because in the end, love is the greatest therapy of all. Lightbulb, if the story moved you, don't let it end here. Backhand index pointing right, hit that like button to show that love and honesty still matter. Speech balloon, drop a comment with your thoughts. We'd love to hear your voice. Bell, and most importantly, subscribe to Black Voices by MSH for more powerful stories that inspire, uplift, and remind us that humanity is stronger than wealth. Stay inspired. Stay connected. This is Black Voices by MSH, and we'll see you in the next story.